I died on my way home and woke up fighting a dragon. Marcus Webb died on a Tuesday. Nothing dramatic, just a distracted driver running a red light while Marcus shuffled home after another soul-crushing day at the accounting firm. 14 hours of spreadsheets, a boss who treated him like furniture, and the growing certainty that his entire life had become a waiting room for death. The impact didn't even hurt, just a sudden brightness, then nothing. Until everything exploded back into existence. Marcus gasped, his lungs burning as if he'd been underwater for minutes. His eyes snapped open to chaos. A massive stone chamber lit by flickering torches, the air thick with smoke and the metallic tang of blood. Something roared, a sound that rattled his bones and made his teeth ache. He tried to stand, but his body felt wrong. Lighter. Stronger. His hands, were these his hands, gripped a sword he didn't remember picking up. The blade hummed with a faint blue light, and when he looked down, he wasn't wearing his wrinkled office shirt and cheap slacks. Instead, he found himself in battered leather armor, dark stains across the chest plate. "Move!" A woman's voice screamed from somewhere to his left. Marcus's head whipped around just in time to see a massive claw, easily the size of a car door, slash through the space where he'd been standing a heartbeat ago. He threw himself sideways on pure instinct, rolling across cracked stone as something enormous crashed into the ground behind him. A dragon. An actual fire-breathing, nightmare-made flesh dragon. The creature loomed 30 feet tall, its scales the color of molten rock, eyes burning with malevolent intelligence. One wing hung at an awkward angle, arrows bristling from its shoulder. But it looked far from defeated. If anything, it looked furious. "What the hell is happening?" Marcus shouted, his voice cracking. "Are you serious right now, Thane?" The same woman yelled back. "Little busy." "Thane?" Who was Thane? Marcus scrambled behind a fallen pillar, his heart hammering against his ribs. His mind raced, trying to make sense of the impossible. Dead. He'd been dead, hit by a car. And now he was, what, in someone else's body? Fighting a dragon? A notification flickered at the edge of his vision, translucent text that shouldn't exist. "Welcome, we incarnated 1. Tutorial, skipped. Current status, CR, critical. Boss fight, active. Good luck." "Oh, that's just fantastic," Marcus muttered. An arrow whizzed past his head, striking the dragon's neck. The creature roared and spun toward the source. A woman crouched on a ledge 20 feet up, a bow already knocking another arrow. She had short copper hair and a face set in grim determination. "Thane!" she shouted down at him. "What are you waiting for? Use Blade Surge. We talked about this." Blade Surge. Marcus looked down at the glowing sword in his hands. More text appeared. Skill. Blade Surge. Channel mana into weapon for devastating strike. Cooldown. 30 seconds. Current mana 87%. "Right," Marcus said, his voice steadier than he felt. "Blade Surge. Sure. How hard can it be?" The dragon's attention snapped back to him. Its jaws opened, revealing rows of teeth like daggers, and Marcus saw the glow building in the back of its throat. Fire. It was going to breathe fire. "Train! Now!" the archer screamed. Instinct took over. Marcus raised the sword and fought, willed the energy he could somehow feel coursing through this body to flow into the blade. The weapon erupted with blue-white light, so bright he had to squint. Power surged up his arms, electric and alive, and suddenly he knew exactly what to do. He charged. The dragon's fire burst forth in a torrent of orange flame, but Marcus was already moving, his body responding with reflexes he'd never possessed in his old life. He rolled under the blast, heat searing the air above him, and came up running. The sword pulled him forward, and he swung with everything he had. The blade connected with the dragon's wounded shoulder in an explosion of light. The creature shrieked, staggering sideways, and Marcus barely managed to yank the sword free before another claw swept toward him. "Left! Go left!" someone else shouted. Marcus dove left without thinking. A massive warhammer crashed down where he'd been standing, wielded by a mountain of a man with a braided beard and armor that looked like it had seen 100 battles. The hammer's impact sent cracks spiderwebbing across the stone floor. "Stay mobile, lad," the man bellowed, hoisting his weapon for another strike. "Vikra, keep it distracted!" The archer, Vikra, loosed 3 arrows in rapid succession, each one finding gaps in the dragon's scales. The creature's head snapped toward her, and Marcus saw his opening. More notifications scrolled past his vision. Vikra Ranger, HP, 67%. Boran Warrior, HP, 54%. Faneblade Knight, HP, 82%. Ragan Boss, HP, 31%. 31%. They were winning, maybe. "The wing," Marcus found himself shouting. "The damaged wing! If we ground it—" "Since when do you strategize?" Vikra called back, but she was already adjusting her aim. "Dry faces," she said. "Since never," Marcus thought. But this wasn't a spreadsheet. This was survival. And his mind, his old analytical mind, from years of problem-solving in the corporate world, kicked into gear. The dragon couldn't fly with one wing. Its mobility was compromised. If they could force it to overextend— "Boran," Marcus yelled, "can you get its attention? Make it turn." The warrior grinned through his beard. "Watch and learn." Orin charged with a battle cry that shook the chamber, his warhammer gleaming. The dragon pivoted to face him, its damaged wing extending for balance. Vikra's arrows peppered the membrane, and the creature roared in pain and rage. Marcus felt the sword's energy recharging. 20 seconds. 15. "Keep it turning," he shouted, circling wide. His legs burned, his lungs ached, but his body moved like it had trained for this, its entire life. Muscle memory that wasn't his guided each step. The dragon's tail whipped around, and Boring caught it on his shield with a metallic crash that echoed like thunder. Vikra dropped from her perch, rolling as she landed, and fired point-blank into the creature's eye. The dragon reared back, blinded on one side, and its good wing beat frantically for balance. 10 seconds. Marcus ran, every footfall measured, positioning himself behind the creature. The sword blazed to life again, that familiar surge of power flooding through him. He could see it now, the pattern, the opening. Years of optimization, of finding efficiency in chaos, translated into this moment. 5 seconds. "Now!" he roared, and leaped. Time seemed to slow as Marcus soared upward, the glowing blade held high. The dragon sensed him at the last moment, trying to twist around, but Boran slammed his hammer into its foreleg, pinning it in place. Vikra's arrows struck true, threading through scales to find the soft flesh beneath. Marcus brought the sword down with both hands, aiming for the base of the damaged wing, where torn membrane met muscle and bone. The blade cut deep, shearing through tendon and scale in a burst of blue fire. The dragon's scream was deafening, primal, and it thrashed wildly. Marcus hit the ground hard, rolled, and came up running as the creature's tail demolished the pillar he'd hidden behind moments ago. But the wing was done. It hung useless, and the dragon's movements grew sluggish, compensating for the imbalance. "It's weakening," Vikra shouted. "One more push." Marcus's mana bar in his vision read 34%. He had one more blade surge left, maybe. His arms trembled from exertion. Even this borrowed body had limits. Dragon Boss, HP, 18%. Zephyros. "Vane," Borin called out, "whatever the hell got into you, keep it up. We've got your back." The warrior and archer moved in perfect synchronization, a dance they'd clearly practiced countless times. Boring drew aggro with taunts and henna strikes, while Vikra peppered the dragon's flanks, each arrow finding purchase. They were creating openings for him, Marcus realized, trusting him to finish this. But who was Fane? What had happened to him? And why was Marcus here, in his body, in this moment? The dragon lunged at Borin, jaws wide, and the warrior barely got his shield up in time. The impact sent him sprawling, and Marcus heard the sickening crack of bone. "Borin!" Vikra's cry was raw with fear. The dragon turned toward her, sensing the easier target. Marcus's mana bar flashed, 31%. Not quite enough for a full blade surge, but close. Close enough. "Hey!" Marcus screamed, every ounce of his old frustration, his old rage at a wasted life, pouring into his voice. "Over here, you overgrown lizard!" The dragon's remaining eye fixed on him, and Marcus felt the weight of its hatred. This wasn't just a monster, it was intelligent, calculating, and it recognized the threat he posed. Good. Marcus planted his feet and channeled everything he had left into the sword. The blade didn't just glow this time. It blazed like a star, so bright that the chamber walls seemed to disappear. His mana bar dropped to 0, and notifications screamed warnings he ignored. The dragon charged, limping but still deadly fast. 20 feet. 15. 10. Marcus didn't run. He waited, counting heartbeats, watching the creature's movements. There, a slight drag in the left foreleg, where Borin had struck. A pattern, a weakness. 5 feet. He sidestepped at the last possible moment, the dragon's jaws snapping shut on empty air, and swung the blazing sword in a wide arc. The blade caught the creature across its exposed throat, and for a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the dragon's roar cut off mid-cry. Its legs buckled, the massive body crashed to the stone floor with a sound like a building collapsing, and went still. Experience gained. 8,750. Level up. Level up. Level up. Party bonus, plus 25% experience. New skills unlocked. Marcus dropped to his knees, the sword clattering beside him. His lungs burned, his vision swam, but he was alive. They were alive. "Dane?" Vikra's voice was hesitant, uncertain in a way it hadn't been during the fight. She approached slowly, her bow lowered but not quite put away. Behind her, Borin limped forward, one arm cradled against his chest, but a huge grin splitting his face. "What could this be in nothing but what?" "That was incredible," the warrior boomed. "When you went for the wing like that, pure genius, and that final strike, by the gods, lad, I didn't know you had that in you." Marcus looked up at them, these strangers who weren't strangers to Fane. He should probably pretend, he realized. Figure out who Fane was, what their relationship was, avoid raising suspicion. But he was so tired. And these people had just fought beside him, trusted him with their lives. Marcus started, then stopped. "How did you explain the impossible? I don't think I'm who you think I am." Vikra's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I woke up in the middle of this fight with no memory of how I got here, who you are, or what blade surge even was, until a helpful pop-up explained it. The words tumbled out faster now. My name was Marcus. I was an accountant. In London. I got hit by a car, and apparently reincarnated into someone named Fane, who was already in the middle of fighting a dragon, which is insane, and I'm sorry if that doesn't make any sense, but it's the truth." Silence. Barine and Vikra exchanged glances. Then Barine started laughing. Deep, booming laughter that echoed off the chamber walls. Reincarnated? Well, that explains the sudden improvement in tactics. You're serious, Vicar said, studying Marcus's face. You really don't know us. I'm really serious, Marcus confirmed. And I'm really sorry. Vikra was quiet for a long moment. Then she slung her bow across her back and extended a hand. Then I'm Vikra Swithshot, Ranger and Tracker. Welcome to the world of Air Fane, Marcus, who was Fane. And thank you for not getting us all killed. Marcus took her hand, relief flooding through him. Thank you for the helpful shouting. I would definitely have been dead without it. Probably multiple times, Boren added cheerfully, clapping Marcus on the shoulder hard enough to nearly knock him over. I'm Boren Ironheart. We've been adventuring together for 3 years. Or rather, we had been adventuring with Thane. Stubborn Bastard was more concerned with looking heroic than actually being effective. You, on the other hand, he gestured at the dead dragon. You think. You strategize. I like this version better. That's actually kind of harsh, Marcus said. But not wrong, Vicar added. Fame was brave but reckless. You kept your head. Analyzed the situation. That's what saved us. Marcus looked around the ruined chamber, at the massive dragon corpse, at these two people who had every reason to be suspicious, but instead seemed almost relieved. In his old life, he'd been invisible, replaceable, a cog in a machine that would function just fine without him. Here, in this moment, he'd mattered. A new notification appeared. A new notification appeared. Survive your first day. Reward. Permanent residence in Arethel. Welcome, traveler. So, Marcus said, picking up the sword that apparently belonged to him now. What happens next? Vikra smiled. Next, we loot this overgrown lizard, heal up, and get back to town. Both, we'll see, says Zephyros. Well, what is the real reason? Then we figure out what having a reincarnated accountant for a party member means for our future adventures. And celebrate, Boren added. Can't forget the celebrating. Wait until you try dwarven ale. It'll put hair on your chest. Possibly literally. Marcus laughed. Actually laughed, for the first time in longer than he could remember. He'd died miserable and alone, and somehow been given a second chance. A chance to be more than a number on a spreadsheet. A chance to matter. You know what? Marcus said, shouldering the sword. That sounds perfect. As they made their way toward the chamber's exit, stepping over rubble and dragon sails, Marcus realized something. He didn't know what had happened to Thane's soul, or why he'd been chosen to take his place. But he was going to honor this second life. Make it count in ways his first one never had. Behind them, the dragon's body began to dissolve into motes of light. Game mechanics, apparently, were very real here. And Marcus smiled. The accountant was dead. The adventure was just beginning.